one of my teaching classmates, someone going to be a future teacher, called me kaki baka, just because of what? I do not have the same belief as that person. I went through another discrimination, get posted into a racist school. Can be said I've been through hell. But you know what? After growing up to discrimination, you tend to develop some resilience. They say, you know what? Discrimination, so what? I'm stronger than that.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Academy podcast with the number one international best-selling author and multi-award winning success and life coach, Kamil Shah. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking this opportunity to grow together with me, Kamil Shah, and my guests on this program. Each episode of the Academy podcast is filled with insights and wisdom from my guests, which I believe can have a profound impact on the way we live our lives. Without further ado, let's dive in. Today, I'm super excited because I have a good friend of mine all the way from Malaysia. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly why this is super special later on. But before that, I'm going to introduce you to him. Yuvarajan Devandran is fondly known as Yuva, is a Jay Shetty Certified Coach who works with young adults between the age of 20 to 40. Having been subjected to discrimination in his previous workplace and learning institution, Yuva aims to help young adults navigate through the challenges of discrimination through his coaching. He does this through guiding his clients through shifting their mindset from a victim mentality to a victor mentality. Yuva is also a maths teacher with 10 years of teaching experience. Apart from that, he is also a doctoral candidate at University Malaya. Welcome, Yuva.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. And first of all, I just want to say Malaysia boleh.
Absolutely, Malaysia boleh.
Yeah.
As I mentioned in the introduction, this is super special because for the first time I have someone from Malaysia, and as you know, if you're joining in, I was born in Malaysia, I grew up in Malaysia, so I guess the connection was there. We just connected. And a quick backstory before I bring in Yuva to tell his story. How did we come about to know about each other? Now, I was a student at the Jay Shetty Certification School. And I noticed this particular person who always joined the interviews and was asking amazing questions to Medina, who is with the school. Now I got intrigued. Who is this dude? He's always on the interviews and asking really kind of poignant questions to the graduates. So I just decided, look, I'm just going to contact him. You're always on the interviews and you ask these questions. So we got talking, and to my surprise, Yuva is from Malaysia. That was it. I guess we just connected from there. I'm going to let Yuva tell his story because it's a really interesting one. So Yuva, if you can tell the story to the listeners and the viewers of your coaching journey.
Thank you, bro. And once again, thank you for the beautiful introduction and beautiful backstory. Well, I joined JSCS back in May 2021, but the interest started way back. I can say it started ever since JSCS was being initiated, which is back in March 2020. And I even completed the pathway of for the information of the audience of the podcast. Before someone can join JSCS, enroll to JSCS, they have to go through a pathway certification, which is about, I think, 3 or 4 days or 5 days of courses. And once you already passed that pathway, you can be considered to join JSCS, but you need to be, talk to an enrollment officer. And I passed the pathway. I passed the pathway within 5 days, but then the one big stumbling block was financial problem, because for me it's quite expensive, and I don't have the money to pay the fees, so I waited for 1.5 year, which is about almost 18 months. I saved money like a bird, basically, and so eventually when I reached May 2021, I have enough savings. So immediately I pays my enrollment officer. So I need to give a big shout out to my enrollment officer, Mr. Harit, who has been super patient. I've never seen any guy who has patience as him, who was willing to wait for me for 18 months, not 1 or 2 months, mind you, 18 months. And he
18
said,
months.
okay, I'm ready. I have the money. Let's do it. Let's do this. Okay, now let's do this. And then he said, okay, let's do this. So the process was smooth, everything. And before I know it, I'm already in JSCS. And I feel happy because that this is one of the school which I enrolled, and I don't have to undergo ragging. You know what I mean, ragging? Ragging
Yeah,
is like,
yeah.
the seniors will pin on the juniors. I don't face anything of that. In fact, everyone in GSCS, whether they have joined in for a year, over a year, or way earlier than me, they treat me like a family, basically. In fact, GSCS, I would say in the Sanskrit term, is Vasudevaya Kutubakam, which means global family. The world is my family. And
Mm.
GSCS is a perfect example for that.
I love that story. For me, the key things that I picked out from your journey there, and we're just scratching the surface because this is only the
Yeah.
surface. So just from that, I connect with the dedication and the vision that you had because many people would have just said, look, fine, I don't have the money, that's it, close and move on to something else. But you had the dedication and the determination and patience to wait and save until and both ways, like you mentioned, Mr. Harith was also patient and in terms of guiding you and waiting for that moment. And again, I truly believe everything happens in time. So sometimes you can't rush things. It has to go through its natural course. And for you there, you've just mentioned it had to be 18 months, but look at you now, brother. You are wearing
Yeah.
the Jay Shetty shirt and you are a qualified, certified Jay Shetty certified coach. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much. That truly, hearing that from you is even more special because I regard you as my super senior because you are the first batch of graduates. And so, honestly, bro, I always look up to you. I always look up to you throughout my journey in GSCS. So I always look up to you, and that way helped me to propel my progress to GSCS. So thank you, bro.
Thank you so much. I'm touched and humbled for that. And I can just say that I'm just like anybody else, just a person that just wants to help other people, and that's what that's what I'm doing with the podcast, with all the work that I'm doing. Is the main aim is to help as many people on their journey, and likewise, you're doing the same with your coaching as well, Yuva. Yuva, so just on that, we mentioned about in the introduction, we mentioned about, I guess, what can be considered a contentious topic that not many people would like to touch upon, and that is discrimination. Now, when you first mentioned to me that your niche, we were talking about the niches of, who are you serving? You mentioned this specifically, and it really got me intrigued because I haven't seen or heard anyone deal with that topic because I think because of that, because sometimes it is almost taboo to approach this topic in certain cultures, in certain societies. Not many people are willing to first to speak up about it, and number two is to do something about it. Right. And you're doing both. You're speaking up about it and you are doing something about it. So I want to thank you for doing this and choosing the path that you are on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, like, thank you for your kind words, bro. I mean, I believe that it is my calling to do this because partly because as growing up in Malaysia, being an Indian here, we are Indians are minority here for the information audience of the podcast. Indians are like the minorities in Malaysia. So we face discrimination on daily basis. Some maybe for some is milder, some is more heavier, but yeah, there is discrimination. So partly what fuel my choice of niche is because of my experience. Growing up from schooling days up to college days, and even in workplace, I experience discrimination on a daily basis. So
Mm.
that's why I choose this niche.
when we think about it globally, it is not unique to to Malaysia or any other region. I think globally there is this issue when it comes to discrimination. It is prevalent. It is still there. I'm just thinking we're in the 21st century right now, and when we talk about sports, football, there is that discrimination there. I'm an avid football fan, and to hear that not only on the stands but amongst players themselves, there is this underlying tone of discrimination. And most recently, we talk about cricket, in the UK, calling for a more open and, I guess, more open dialogue about it. Whereas before it was hidden, it wasn't taken seriously, but now it's taken a while. Now, there are many factors in this, which you can share from your own experience. Why has it taken longer in certain cultures or countries to address this issue than if you compare it to other places in the world?
Oh, I mean, that is a very powerful question and also a very touchy question because it's very sensitive. It's a very sensitive question.
Yeah.
Partly, in my opinion, partly is because politics. Yeah. So many politicians out there. I'm not talking about Malaysia in general. In general, I can say they are vouching on racism or favoring a certain race just purely for for appeasement. Appeasement of certain sectors, certain sets of people for their vote bank. So politicians, obviously, for politicians to to continue being a politician, continue being maybe serving as an MP in a certain place, they need vote. And a simple way to get vote is to appease them by providing certain policies which is like favoring a certain sect and also totally discriminating other certain sect. I'm not going to say which is, but I think you got my point. So firstly, I'll say it's politics, and secondly, because I think ignorance. That's the main point, ignorance. Because and it's kind of like said like there are many countries which have like multiple races with such a diverse community, diverse background. Some of them are just ignorant about the other race, ritual, tradition, belief, religion, and they just say, okay, it's only my belief that matters. Other belief are secondary and also like insignificant. So I'll say it's ignorance, which I think comes from lack of education. I'll say because they are being fed with the certain narrative, through media, through television, to radio, social media. So it reminds me of a famous Cherokee quote, the two wolves quote. There are two, according to the quote, there are two wolves. One's the positive wolf and the negative wolf. Now the positive wolf has the thought of positive thought, have hardworking, caring, loving, ever basically positive thinking wolf. The bad wolf is like violence, hatred, discrimination, ignorance. All the negative trait is on a bad wolf. So right now, what's the Cherokee quote say? Which wolf will become more powerful? It depends on which one you feed on. If you feed on more on the good wolf, you will be positive. If you feed more on a negative wolf, you will be a negative person. You tend to do discrimination. You tend to sow the seed of hatred. The main thing is that which one is your choice? Do you want to feed on the good wolf or the bad wolf?
That's a really powerful analogy, and then that story about the two wolves. And the key thing I take from that is that there's always going to be the good and the bad, the positive and negative, yes. Right? For everything to remain in balance, there is always going to be that. Even in people sometimes look at me, Kamil, you're always positive, and I say, look, I have bad days too. It's part of being human, that all the negative thoughts sometimes come, and But the main thing is that if you're aware that you have the choice to choose which one, like you say, which one to feed, the positive or the negative, that's where the real change in your life happens, because you are able to navigate as opposed to simply defaulting to the negative. And I think that's a really powerful quote and story to share with everyone. So thank you for that, Yuva.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, bro. Before you ask the next question, I would like to add up that something you mentioned about when you mentioned that when people mention to you you're always positive, that is also an issue as well because there's only recently I've heard a term called toxic positivity. I was like, whoa, that's just blow my mind. Toxic positivity. I mean, like really?
Yeah.
Then I I heard this term when I was looking when I was like viewing a TED talk by a South African researcher. I forgot her name, but I think the audience can just Google TED talk toxic positivity. You can just see it in TED talk. So there she mentioned that when you mention toxic positivity, you'll expect a person to be always positive, always on the sunny side, always be always on the rainbow like unicorn, always happy, always jolly, all that. But they tend to disregard the negative, so-called negative emotion, which are actually not, which are natural human emotion. Well, in Sanskrit, there's a thing called Navarasa. Navarasa means the nine emotions of human being. Happy, sad, worry, tension, confused. Basically, there are nine emotions. So when you mention these nine emotions, it has the perfect blend of positive and negative. So you can't just say, okay, I'm positive, I'm positive, I'm positive. That's wrong. You have to consider the negative emotion because what makes a human being is the perfect blend of positive emotion and the bad emotion. So when you fuse them, that makes a human being.
That's really,
Yes.
really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Again, it reminds me of a few other things. We talk about the yin and yang.
Yes.
You can't appreciate the light if you don't have the dark. So
Correct.
everything is in balance. So what you mentioned about toxic positivity there is to ignore the negative completely, whereas that's not going to help anyone. It's always going to be there, but it's just how you deal with it. That's the key thing and also to understand that you have the choice. You have the ability, like you're going back to that story about which one do you feed, the positive or the negative, the good wolf or the bad wolf. Whatever you feed, it grows. There's a formula there, right? It's a perfect formula.
Correct.
Whatever you feed, it grows. It's entirely up to you which one you want to feed. I want to come back to a few things you mentioned early on about ignorance. Now, out of the two, you mentioned about the political side and also kind of the ignorant side. Now, I'm a big believer of the latter as a means of, on a day-to-day basis, that we have the ability to control this realm more than the kind of, I guess, politics. Now, some people are able to jump to that level, but on a day-to-day basis, to dispel ignorance at simple things. And you talk about narrative. That's a really important thing as well. The narrative. Again, we go back to. I'm connecting the dots here. The narrative.
Sure.
Which one do you feed when you watch the news? What are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you feeding your mind? If I can just give you a quick observation from my own point of view, I've stopped watching the news. I've stopped watching the news. I get my key information from key sources, but all the other stuff I've just stopped. I used to remember just to sit in front of TV at 8 o'clock sharp to watch the news. That was an event. That was an event that we would gather in to sit and watch the news, a program. And now when I look back and I'm trying to kind of assess what are the key informations that I can take from here. Now I'm able to do that because, I'm able to kind of understand, okay, that's important. That's important. I need to know that. And that's it. Out of the 30 minutes, I probably take maybe two, even a minute or 2 minutes of the 30-minute programming that's on there, because that's the need to know information. Eventually, it's a narrative. What are you feeding your mind? And I'm a big believer of this. You become what you feed your mind. Again, good wolf, bad wolf. So Yuva, if you don't mind sharing, what kind of discrimination did you receive, and how did that influence you to become a coach?
Okay, so honestly, my primary school was awesome. Like because that time, like you think everyone's the same. Well, maybe they have different beliefs, but all the same. We're all kids, so we have a great time. I think I have a wonderful childhood, but when it comes to secondary school, things starts to turn a bit sour. That's where I felt my first discrimination was like in Form 1, which is 13 years old, which is the first level of secondary school, where they have they started to enforce that every an entire class consists of a certain race. I'm not sure which race, but I think you know what I'm talking about. And the other, which is the nons, will be pushed to other class. So normally when I entered, the first class, which is supposed to be reserved in a top student UPSR, and I don't want to brag, but I'm a top student UPSR. I got 5 A's for my UPSR. I'm a top student in my school, so I felt that I should be in the first class. But then, due to the system, they say, okay, so now we will have the first class to be only a certain this phase. So any nons, despite their good achievement, will be pushed to second class. Why? Because we have the system. We should pursue this. Then after that, when someone like brought up the issue in the means to level, they start go panic. They started go panic. They started panic, and they say, okay, fine, let's just drop the issue and let's just cover the let's drop the system and cover up this thing. So basically, it's a massive cover up. So that was the first discrimination which I experienced. Eventually, I managed to enter the first class after some months after the issue got brought up. Then that was mild. But the main one was during my SPM results. There was a subject called English and Science Technology, which is the subject is even easier than the English paper itself, the 1119 paper. I was like, I'm not still overconfident, but I was very confident because I will ace the paper, not just pass, ace the paper. Because for my trial, because it's a normal where people, when normally they do the public examination, they have a trial. For the trials, I acquired 92 over 100. 92 over 100. And
Wow.
thank you. When I did the actual examination, I felt the exam was even easier than a trial. So I was pretty confident I'm going to ace the paper. I was saying, okay, that's it, A1, A with the aggregate of 1. But when I get the results, I was shocked. They gave me a B, and I even discussed the paper with my teacher. They say, no, you are the A student. You are A student. This grade is wrong. You should recheck the grade. So I paid the money. I rechecked the grades, and guess what? They refused to give me B. Initially, they gave me B4. They gave me an increase to B3. They refused to give me A. And then I do not want to discriminate someone else, a person. I have a friend in my class who can't speak a word of English, and she ended up getting A1 for the paper.
Oh, wow.
and then she went on to get matriculation, and then she's a lawyer right now, a lawyer. So that felt okay. I felt really down, but I just, okay, fine. I have quite a good grade, so I thought the problem ends there. But no, that's just the beginning of problem. To apply to colleges is a big trouble for me. It's a big issue for me because despite getting a good grade, I eventually ended up with 8 A's and 2 B's from SPM. I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
get any scholarship. Well, I know scholarship is a bit perfect, but I just applied. I didn't get any scholarship. I didn't get any offer into matriculation. I didn't get any offer into any local institution. So basically, I got stuck because these are the 3 core pathway to enter after you complete your secondary education. And I didn't get any enrollment in any of these 3, despite getting quite a commendable grade. So I have no choice. I did upper 6. I did form 6 in my school, which is not advisable because the form 6, the teachers, the quality is not that good. Then eventually my family did what other Indian family will do, break the bank, use up all the savings, and also enroll me into a private institution somewhere in Malaysia. But the problem is, just a year before, my brother passed his SPM, also faced a similar thing. He didn't get matriculation, he didn't get scholarship, he didn't get any placement in local institution. So fact, my parents, to be honest, they are not rich. They are just a normal government working in the government sector. So they have some savings and they pump up most of the savings to send my brother and to enroll in institution. So when my turn comes, and I also didn't get any enrollment in the colleges. I was supposed to go to there, but that's where the problem hits. Like financially, like my parents are unable to send me there. So basically, my parents pray really hard. Like we talk to the ministry level, try to find a vacancy, even for teaching, bro. Even for this teaching job, I only managed to apply after 4 rounds of appeal. I repeat, 4 rounds of appeal.
Wow.
See, and despite I'm having A1 for my both my additional maths and modern maths, I only managed to get this course only after 4 rounds of appeal,
Mm.
which means that I entered the course 3 months late.
So
Three
all
months
these
late.
are knock-on
But
effects, have knock-on effects.
absolutely. And even after entering the course, it just get worse. Being the only Indian guy there and the one who think differently. I was being marooned. I was being isolated. So it's just like a bullying habit there. It's like a bully. It's like basically the majority bullying the minority, and I felt it really really bad.
Mm.
One of my teaching classmate, someone going to be a future teacher, called me kakibaka, just
Mm.
because of what? I do not have the same belief as that person. Somehow and then after that I went through another discrimination. Get posted into a racist school. All this thing, all the stuff I went. Can we say I've been through hell? I've been through hell, but I survived, and now I'm a teacher. I've been working for 10 years right now. Well, I do have some discrimination. I do face some discrimination here and there, but you know what? After growing up to discrimination, you tend to develop some resilience. They say, you know what? Discrimination. So what? I'm stronger than that.
Wow, powerful story, Yuva. Thank you for sharing that. And you
Thank
know,
you.
I'm just speechless at the moment.
Yeah.
To have gone through what you have gone through and all the kind of the setbacks, the hurdles. I'm truly grateful that you are now here and being able to be the catalyst for that change that you want to see. At what point was the turning point for you?
Okay, it was during teachers the trainee teachers, they have to go through a certain period called practicum. Practicum is like teachers in training. They get posted. They learn the trade of teaching, what you must do as teacher. Being a Hindu, cow is a sacred animal for us. It's not just animal. We regard cow as mother. That's why we call cow ko mata. Ko mata. Mata means mother. Ko means a second, or you can say something like a mother. So we regard cow not just an animal but as a mother. Why we regard as a mother? Because they give us milk. Just like how a mother breastfeeds its baby, cow gives milk to human being. That's why we regard them as mother. And it was during one festival. Basically, they slaughter a cow in front of me, and I can't take it. I felt really disturbed. I walked out of the school, and the next day I got reprimanded by the headmaster of the school for neglecting my duty. They just simply watch up a charge and see you're neglecting your duty, so yeah, you get reprimanded, you need to do stuff. I think that was the final draw. It was like I believe like everyone has their own belief, and I believe that everyone should respect other people's belief. There's no any other superior or inferior belief. Everyone has their own belief and respect, and therefore they should be respected.
And that was not there, that mutual respect of and I get, like you said about the ignorance, the idea that, and sometimes if people, even though they know, turn away from that. And again,
Yeah.
it boils down to the ignorance, and this is something that you're trying to change by educating people?
Because I believe the very basics of the very basic step to overcome ignorance is education. Education. Ignorance is darkness. Education is light. So you are transitioning from darkness to light through the process of education. Because you learn through process education, you learn something, and you get a better understanding, and therefore you're no longer ignorant.
Oh, very, very powerful there. Thank you for sharing that. From the people that you are coaching and helping out, what seems to be the prevalent narrative that they are facing when they come to you?
Well, I'm not sure whether it is written or it is like basically planned or I'm not sure it's pre-planned. I'm not so sure. But most of my clients happens to be Indian because maybe partly because I'm Indian, so maybe I can connect more to them. Yeah. So when you're talking about Indians, they have a certain belief. I don't say belief. It's like a false belief, like, remember one, even Jay mentioned himself that I got three choices: either you're a doctor, lawyer, or a failure. So it pretty much applies in here as well.
Yeah.
Because either guys will strive hard to be a doctor or either a businessman, and lady and the girls will go either some become doctor as well, but more to lawyer. So these are the cream de la cream careers for the choice of most Indians, which is doctor and lawyer, and also business as well. So whenever they see Indians doing some other courses, they are even teaching as well. They are regarded as a failure. So for example, many of my clients are in the corporate section, and also like they have been discriminated by their bosses of certain race. I'm not saying which one, and discriminated in the way of like, they work very hard, they work their socks off, but in the end they didn't get the perks, like a promotion or a salary or a salary raise or even a holiday, and while others get the perk. So this is one of few simple example of discrimination happen. At first they felt it, but they feel helpless because they are stuck. Normally, bro, discrimination happen when the people in authority, they put their power on the minorities or the people of different race for their own benefit. It's like, or in simple English word, manipulation, power manipulation power, because they just fail to understand what is the true need of a certain, not just certain race, a certain community, or even an individual who are in the workplace or learning institution. They just simply whitewash it. They just cover it with a blanket, or if you know what I mean, and just simply say, okay, everything is fine, everything is good, so nothing doing, no further action. So that's the prevalent term I can see from all my clients.
That's really interesting. It seems that there is, like you're saying, a kind of a certain narrative that's there. Now, moving forward, how do you coach someone who, for example, a client that comes along and says, I'm facing discrimination. I don't know what to do. I need to go to work. I need to get my work done. And, but, there seems to be this glass ceiling, and I'm not getting along with my coworkers. So generally, what tends to be the outcome that you're seeing from being able to coach your clients?
Yeah, thank you for asking a very good question. Bro, let's be blunt. To overcome racism, you can't put it on a single person. It's just too much overwhelming. You need a government to do that by enforcing certain policies to eradicate discrimination. So you need a government for that. But what my role as a coach is work on the individual level. Work on them, especially people who have been victim of discrimination either by race or gender. It's like to shift their mindset, because to shift their mindset from a victim mindset to a victor mindset. Now, what do I actually mean by that? Normally, when people have been subjected to discrimination, they felt stuck. Yeah, as you mentioned, they felt stuck. They're stuck in the glass ceiling. They got no one to talk to, and they feel they know that, and even some they didn't know, they didn't realize they've been discriminated, because they may fed from, maybe they may taught from small, okay, this is the way, this is the system, we have to go through it, there's no way out of it, which I think maybe goes back to maybe parenting, or maybe like being taught by community, say, okay, this is a
Is that
system.
narrative again?
Yeah, being projected by the community, say, okay, this is a system, you need to go through it, there's no another way of it. So what my role here is to shift their mindset to say, wait, there is a way out, because I
Mm,
believe, bro, any problems has a solution. In
mm,
fact, every problem is a solution hidden in it.
wow.
Okay, every problem has a hidden solution in it. You just have to, take a little tweak here and there, shift the thinking, you know, because I think there's a quote by Einstein by saying that you cannot solve a new problem. You cannot solve a problem by having the same mindset that
Mm,
created the problem.
absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
So this is where my rule is. First, I will gauge their consciousness, because I believe the first step for any client, for any person who are being subjected to discrimination, is to be conscious, to be aware they are being discriminated. Because
Mm,
some of them they are like goldfish in the aquarium. When people telling them they are being discriminated, but they say, no, 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 I'm fine, I'm good, I'm just going through a system, I'm getting paid, I'm good. Well, people talk bad about me, but I'm fine. So this attitude of I'm fine attitude
mm.
is no good. So
It's
if you
going back to what you said just now about the toxic positivity, where
yes,
you convince yourself that there isn't a problem, but the problem is right in front of you.
correct,
That you talk yourself, and sometimes you have to deal, you have to feel the emotions. Why I don't feel comfortable with this.
yeah,
Feel it in order,
yeah,
and then the solution, like you say, the solution's in the problem.
yes. As I say, for every problem, the solution is in the problem itself. So all you need is just a shift of mindset. So going back to the first step, which I say, is making the person be aware they are being discriminated. Well, they might realize that okay, there's something off here, but they tend to cheat themselves. They say, okay, this is fine. Everybody goes through it, so I can go through it. This is a norm. Well, a biggest crime, which I say here, the biggest crime happening here, people believing that discrimination is a norm. It is not a norm. It is wrong. Plain simple as that.
Well said, well said. And I completely agree with what you're saying there. Being aware that it exists, it is still there. And
Yeah,
I think that's the only way that we can, we go back to the idea of narrative,
yeah,
the ignorance.
yeah,
That's the only way we can start to tackle the problem.
yeah. So yeah, thank you for saying that, bro. So yeah, so after the persons have been aware that they are being discriminated, the next step is to gauge their level of understanding of the issue. Like yes, now they are being aware they're being discriminated. What is their feeling, how do they feel, and then how is their thinking level. So this is a second level, gauging their thinking level, the level of emotions. Thirdly is that to have a full understanding of the issue, the root cause. So this is where we go really deep. Maybe it goes all the way to majority of my clients say it has a trauma from childhood or trauma from schooling days, and it just developed over time into adulthood. So that's the one I can say. And lastly, once they have discovered the root cause, which is normally, as you said just now, from the false narrative being projected on them from small, is to undo their thinking. They're thinking, okay, this is norm. This is norm. This is what they're supposed to do. No, it's not. So once they have go to the consciousness, gauging their level of emotion, and to have a full understanding of the issue, the next step is more like problem solving. How they need to change the narrative that they're currently being exposed to. So once they change the narrative, it starts with the self, because like you can change the external environment, but if the self within themselves they don't want to change, then nothing's doing. You still go back to the vicious cycle of discrimination, and you're doing nothing of it. So the first thing is that they need to have a positive dialogue within themselves. So the first thing they have to say is, I love myself. The self-love need to be there. So I believe person who has self-love will not willingly expose themselves to being discriminated.
I completely agree with that. And it goes back to what you mentioned about awareness. Self-love and awareness to me are very, very interrelated with one another.
So that's the first step. First, they have to love themselves. I don't think any sane person, now I don't say by insane person, I'm not saying by sane, any sane person who love themselves will not willingly, people are talking bad about me, people are putting me down, people are treating me like that. They will not let that. They will voice out. So that's the first thing. Self-love is important. Number two is a positive mindset. There are many books out there, art of thinking positive thinking. So you need to, positive thinking, that might take some time, because like you need time to, to reframe your mindset. So seconds, normally people can do that by journaling, affirmations, and also some, changing the routine, for example. So just now you mentioned about, watching the news, right? So it's interesting when you mention the word news, if you take each letter, NEWS, actually the word news is an abbreviation of North, East, West, and South. Do you notice that?
Interesting. I've never thought about that.
Yeah. So actually, the main purpose of news is to provide information happening from North, East, West, and South, four corners of the world.
Wow.
But what do we see now is just a narrative, a narrative to fulfill a certain agenda, certain narrative, certain topic. So over time, news have become not like news. If you know what I mean. As I said, after they have gone to consciousness, gauge their level of emotion, have a full understanding of issue, get the root cause, and I say it's now, firstly they have to self-love, positive thinking, and then thirdly is try to find a solution for where they are. Might not be a final solution, but at least to make them feel a bit better, make them feel in control. Because for me, one of my key strategy here is for client is to write down the list within their circle of control and beyond their control. I want to ask you a logical question. Now, for example, if you have a choice, if you could list down the things within your control and things beyond your control, which do you think is much more nearer to you? Is it things within your control or beyond your control?
I think, straight off, things that I can control. That's something that I know I can do.
Yeah. Why do you say so?
I think because, again, going to your narrative is something that I know I can do, and I've done it before. So I guess, going back to the experience that, I can control this because I know how to manage it. So naturally, the tendency is to go towards something that I'm familiar with.
Yes. So it's empowering, right? It's very empowering just to listen that, okay, I got this. These things are within my control. I can do something about this. Now, I notice a trend from most of my clients, they tend to focus more on the things beyond their control. So as you said, when people focus things beyond, things within their control, they feel empowered. Now, on the opposite, in the opposite, when they focus on things beyond their control, they feel helpless, they feel stuck, they feel there's nothing I can do. Yeah, because common sense, because they are focusing on things beyond their control. They have no say, they got nothing, they can't do anything, and they just put their mind, energy and resources towards the things beyond their control. So this is where I meant about shifting the mindset, focusing on things within their control. And normally I can say, during the activity, when they write down the list of things within their control and beyond their control, the list within their control is much more longer than things beyond their control. It's just a revelation. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the key thing is, to get a coach like yourself to unpack that. Again, why I'm mentioning that, to get a coach like yourself is that even for myself, it helps to have a coach, because the coach is there not to tell you what to do. The coach is there to guide you with specific tried and tested tools. The work is being done by yourself. You already have the answers. I truly believe that in every single person, the answers are there, but you need a coach to become that soundboard, to ask the questions. Sometimes, and I go back to this, sometimes the questions that we are afraid to ask ourselves because we don't want to find out, right? So the coach is there to prompt these things. And like you're saying, that revelation happens when you start to write down these things and you say, wow, I actually have a lot of things in front of me that I can start doing right now. I don't have to wait until whenever to achieve all these big things, which I don't have control over. I can start right now with these small things.
Absolutely, yes. So you see, bro, when a person see the list of within their control, which a much more longer list, compared to the list of beyond their control, it makes them feel relief, because okay, I have more things which is within my control, and there's something I can do about it. And number two, it gives them empowerment, which is something what a victim cries for, and something which you didn't get when they're being discriminated. So when you feel empowered, you have you can do something. You have a voice. You can do something to overcome this issue. So so this is why I'm very pressing on listing down things within their control and beyond their control. So it's mainly because purely to empowerment.
That's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Because again, if you're listening to this, there's a clear reason why coaches are useful. A lot of people don't. Some people have, from my conversations, have slightly challenging feeling about getting a coach, but here it is. It's the, here's the explanation why. To have a coach is to actually get clarity, to allow you to get clarity, which sometimes is challenging when you're trying to resolve the issue by yourself. That sense of empowerment, that's where, for me, again, the way that you've explained it is where you start that transformation, where you understand, I can control X, Y, Z, which previously I wasn't focusing on. I was focusing on the things that I couldn't control.
Yeah, you mentioned a very interesting word, clarity, because that is what my client longing for. Or not just my client, but people who have gone through discrimination, they wanted clarity. They want to know where to go next. So this is where the coach fits the role perfectly. So to put it into chronological example, let's say you're driving from Kuala Lumpur to Malacca. Now, without a GPS, and let's say you are a beginner driver, you might take a wrong road. You might end up at Ipoh, which is not.
Completely the opposite direction. If you know Malaysia, it's completely
and
going.
Malacca is south, right? South KL. So this is where a coach has the function like a GPS, a global positioning system. So the coach will be like a GPS to guide the client, but still, even though let the client still do the driving. It's not the coach drive the client. The client still drive the car, but the coach being the guide as a GPS to navigate, to help the client navigate to reach their goal, to reach where they want to be.
I love that description of comparison between the coach and your journey and the role of the coach in getting you to your journey destination, not to misguide you, going up north to Ipoh, but actually getting you to your destination, to Malacca. Yeah. So thank you for explaining that, Yuva. While you were talking there, I got reminded to an old film by the late P. Ramlee. I don't know if you've probably seen this. I grew up on all these films, and I think P. Ramlee is one of the treasures of the country, because his film, if you really watch and sit and watch, it actually tackles a lot of the prevailing issues at the time, but still prevalent now. the way that the film is being portrayed is a comedy.
Mhm.
Within the comedy, there is, I guess, big issues being tackled. And one of the films is about these three characters called Bujang Lapuk. And I think it was Pendekar Bujang Lapuk, right? Pendekar
Yes.
Bujang Lapuk. And
Yeah.
this one particular scene, while you were talking, my mind went back to this particular scene. And it was a scene where all three of them were actually reciting affirmations. Their village was being bombarded or kind of raided by a group, and these three characters were sitting and just saying, they were saying cobaan, which is
So,
over and over again. So cobaan means test. This is just a test. So, but they were completely oblivious to the fact that this is the fact that the village was actually being raided, but instead of doing something about it or addressing the main issue that's right in front of them, they went, for me, if I relate back to it, is this toxic positivity, where you're convincing yourself there isn't an issue, but the issue is there. And I remember all these other characters, the lady, the father, and everyone came and tried to kind of tell them we're being raided, and they were just in this trance of there's no problem, there's no issue, almost in a state of denial. So this is understanding that, being aware of what is the current situation here. That starts to, and I can't remember how they got out of that trance. I think Piramli himself came and I know shook them, and that was interesting for me because apply that global issues right now. There are certain areas where we're kind of thinking, well, there's not an issue. Well, actually, there is. It's right there in front of your face. We talk about the environment. We talk about discrimination. A lot of these things are real things. So that's why I really enjoy his films, because they were tackling big issues at a time where it wasn't talked about, but now you're actually seeing the relevance and significance of those issues.
Absolutely. And honestly, I'm a big respect to the late Tan Sri Pradamli. And he's truly a visionary actor, way ahead of his time. Well, there are some of his movies, I'm not sure it's true or not. Some of his movies like kind of like predicting what is happening currently. So it's a bit like a Nostradamus if you if you see it. But that could be a topic of a different podcast altogether. So going back to the coaching part, I think I truly agree with what you say. People, they see this as an issue, but they fool themselves and chose to deny the state. You mentioned a very strong word, state of denial. They deny themselves. They are having trouble. They say, okay, I'm fine. Okay, I'm fine. As long I got money, I get paid. I don't mind people stamping on my head. I don't mind people sitting on my head. I don't mind. It's okay. So when you have this attitude, sorry, the state of denial, so you have denied yourself the opportunity to be empowered, because you are denying yourself you're having an issue. There is an issue, but when you deny it, you're denying yourself the opportunity to come out of it, to take control of the issue. So this is why the state of to deny that's the issue in the first place is a very dangerous thing. It's a slippery slope. So that's why in my coaching, I will tell my clients like try to navigate them from away from state of denial and focus on the issue, because state of denial, honestly, well, it may feel good in the short term, but it doesn't serve them long term.
Wow, powerfully said there, Yuva.
As you mentioned back in my introduction, I'm a maths teacher, so I'm teaching maths for primary, from children from 7 years old to 12 years old. So there, every topic we have the chapter subtopic, which is normally the final subtopic for every chapter in maths, which is problem solving. So in problem solving, we refer to the famous model called the Polya model of problem solving. So this is where I tell the student, okay, let's meet Uncle Polya. Uncle Polya suggested the 4 steps for problem solving. The first step is understanding the problem. Okay. Second step is devising a plan. The third step is you execute the plan. Well, normally people say, okay, execute the plan. I got the product. Good. Let's go. It's all done. No, you're not done. The fourth is you have a fourth step, which is check back. You should check, you should, look back, see
Mm.
where you progress. So the fourth step is very important. You need to understand the problem, which I already explained earlier. You need to be
There's
aware you're being discriminated.
awareness.
Awareness, exactly. And secondly, is to devise a plan. This is where you try to identify the root cause. Because I believe anything happen has a root cause. So it's like this, bro. Let's make it simple for everyone to understand. Let's say there's a fire in your room. You have a fire extinguisher, and which do you think is easier to put out when you when you spray the fire extinguisher towards the root of the fire or towards the outer layer of the fire? Which one do you think?
Well, to make sure that the fire goes out completely, it's the root.
Exactly. So similar to this issue, if they identify the root cause, they are able to devise a plan to come out of it. No, basically, it's like many people out there, they just treat the surface level of trouble. Treating the problem at the surface level is like putting band-aid, plaster on your wound. Well, it covers the wound, but then after maybe you scratch the skin, it gets wounded and you get bleeding again.
Mm.
But when you go to the root cause, you go beyond skin level, you go skin deep. It's like to deal with the issue at the very fundamental level, the very root level. So that might take time, but it gives a more lasting effect. The third step of the plan is execute. So once you have got the plan, it's about executing it. So when I say execute, I'm talking about habits. You
Mm.
should, get a routine of positive habits, because I believe change, because we are talking about changing the mindset. So change doesn't happen overnight. It never will be. Change doesn't move overnight. Doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. So when in order to get change over time, you need to have a good routine, a good habit. Okay. So this is part of the plan. Executing a plan by inculcating a positive habit, which is like writing affirmation, journaling, meditation, having a positive thought, all these things, habit. Okay. And then after some time with the habit, you have a clarity over the issue, and you think that you're already over it. The final step is check back. Okay. So when you check back, you look back at how much you have progressed since you've started. Now, Steve Jobs in a very famous speech says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards.
Really interesting there. I love that. I love that quote. We're talking about reflection, right? And looking back
Yes,
and
reflection.
seeing, what went well, what didn't work, and how can we learn from that. So I think in order to move forward.
Yes, yeah. Because I believe when someone reflect on their journey, they will feel okay. I've gone through a lot. Because I think it's human nature. When they've reached a certain level, they don't have the tendency to look back. They feel so comfortable being at top. So that's where the tendency to be lenient, to be start to lazing off. So that's very dangerous, because when they start to lazing off, they might go back to the old problem. So to prevent that, they should look back how much they've progressed. So by doing that, when they reflect how much they've progressed since they've started, it gives them a sense of achievement. Okay, sense of achievement. So okay, well, I say, wow, in the past I used to think that I can't do it. I'm stuck. I can't do anything. But hey, look now, I'm doing something which I love, and I'm being in control of my life. I have clarity in my life purpose. And yeah, and I love and I love this current situation. I would like to continue doing it. So when you have this sense of achievement, it gives them a further boost, a further motivation for them to remain in this level, because they know once they go back to the old level, it's basically the same vicious cycle again of discrimination.
Really interesting take on what you teach in school, but also the application of it in coaching terms. And I think you're in a very, very unique position because you are, like you're saying, you teach maths to primary level. And I think that's a really key thing there where
Yes.
you are able to teach, not only teach the subjects, but teach about self-love, empowering children from early on, which again, when I'm thinking, when I went to school, this was never there. It was, okay, you have the subjects, but you didn't know anything about how to love yourself, feel empowered. Pretty much most of the time, you would feel that, you are, sorry, my daughter is, hello, you want to come say hi to uncle?
Hello.
You see? Say hi to uncle.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I forgot your
That's
name.
Hannah.
Yeah. Hi, Hannah. How are you?
Okay, Hannah, you going to go to bed? Yeah? Okay, say bye to uncle.
Bye.
Okay, good night. Bye-bye. Good night.
But we'll see you later, okay? Okay, sleep first.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, sorry. What was I saying there? I was talking about being empowered. Yeah, so I guess, for example, like Hannah just coming in, if I was thinking, if I was at her age growing up, I would be, just shouted at, but I don't want to do that because I want to empower her, to allow her to say, look, it's okay. And this is where I think you're in a very unique position because you're able to do that with the kids that you teach. And
Yes.
very, very unique. So thank you for going on your journey, because again, the amplification is that you are able to not only guide your clients, but also guide these school children. Again, I'm so excited to see where, when they grow up, how empowered they're going to feel because of what you're doing in for yourself. But in fact, it's actually for them.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words, bro. I believe, bro, when I signed the agreement to become a teacher, I believe I'm teaching not just Malay children, not just Indian children, not just Chinese children, not just Dayak or Kadazan children or Orang Asal children, the which is the Aboriginal in Malaysia. I'm teaching the future leaders of Malaysia. Full stop. I don't see my pupil by color, by belief, by religion. I am teaching the future leaders of Malaysia. These generation are going to be leaders where my children will live and thrive here. So therefore, it's my responsibility to create, to inculcate good values in the future leaders so that they can drive the country for a better place for my children to live in. That's my true belief as a teacher, as my role as a teacher.
Well, I salute you, Yuva, because again, it's very challenging to find people like that nowadays. I'm hopeful because slowly, one life at a time, we are doing this and we are influencing, and you're doing that as well. So I salute you and thank you for doing what you do.
Well, thank you so much, bro, for the kind words here. But I can say teachers themselves are being discriminated in Malaysia, but that is a different topic altogether. We can talk it some other time. So yeah. But now going back to this thing, I believe like anything that you should, if you want to work on something, start early. Because I believe there's a Malay proverb here, it's melentur buluh biarlah dia rebung. It means like if you want to bend a tree, you start from the shoots.
Absolutely. You have to start young. It's not to say that later on you can't, there is progress can't be made, but it's much easier if you start early.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yuva, this is just flown by. I don't think I don't feel that I've even started talking about us yet, but it's gone past the hour mark, and I'm just so enthused by this conversation that I'm having with you. There's so many things that I want to talk about. We have to definitely do this again. You're such an inspiration to many people, and I want to thank you for doing what you do, for being there. For people who feel that they don't have a choice, they don't have an outlet or an avenue or someone to guide them. So you are that person. And I want to deeply down from the bottom of my heart. So thank you for your efforts and what you're doing.
Thank you so much, bro. Because thank you so much for the kind words again. Because I believe everyone always have a chance. They always have a chance. It's about their own mindset. It's about their own thinking. Are they willing to do the work, or are they willing, themselves to become the victim and remain as a victim? So the choice is in their hands. As I said earlier in the interview, the a problem is a solution hidden in it.
Wow, perfect, Yuva. Before we go, how can people get in touch with you?
Okay. Well, you can be in touch with me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. So Instagram, you can just find at Yuvarajan88. Facebook, you can find my full name, Yuvarajan Devandran. Yep, I'm a proud son of my father, so I will put my father's name there. Okay. And then LinkedIn, also the same thing, Yuvarajan Devandran. Yep. And also, I also have another Instagram page for my own podcast, which is called Knowledge Word Sharing, which is also on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is at Knowledge Word Sharing _YD. And Facebook, just find Knowledge Word Sharing by Yuvarajan. You can find me there.
Yeah. Excellent. And we haven't even talked about your podcast and the other things that that you've just mentioned there. We've kept that a secret. So maybe next session we'll definitely talk about that. So we'll put all the description in the episode today, so you can find it in the description. So go ahead and connect with Yuva, a great Jay Shetty Certified Coach. We have a quick fire. Well, it's not quick. I'll just call it the 5 questions, the 5 last questions that I always ask my guests. Are you okay to go along with this?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. First question is, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word is empowerment.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
Empowerment.
Question number 2. What are you currently reading or listening to?
That's a very interesting. Interesting, because I'm reading quite a few things today. In fact, today I just got your book after
Awesome.
a long wait, which is what's the title again? Yeah, Authentic. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to read that. As the first
Do you have
story
it there?
to read.
Do you have it there? Can you show to the camera?
Yeah, sure.
Do you mind showing it to the camera?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so now that's in Malaysia right now.
Yes, the cover with the denim jeans.
Awesome,
very nice.
Awesome.
Very original. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to read this. And the first story I'm going to read is your story.
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
Right to your story. And this is one, which I just got today. Second one is the latest Robin Sharma book, which is like the Daily Hero Manifesto. Which is like I'm looking forward to read that as well. So yeah, I think that's the 2 books which I'm currently reading.
Great. Excellent books. Question number 3. If you could meet someone either living or past, who would that be?
Wow, just one. Okay, you're putting me on the spot, because there are definitely more than one people I want to meet, whether they are alive
or
dead.
More than one. No worries. I mean, yeah.
Thank you, bro. Well, if it's alive, there are about 3 persons which I want to meet. First is definitely Jay Shetty, because Jay Shetty, not just my guru as well, but also basically changed my life for the better. Secondly is my spiritual guru, which is Sadhguru G.K. Vasudev, who's the Isha Foundation. He has helped me to see life in a different way. And thirdly is our fellow Malaysian, Vishen Lakiani, the founder of Mind Valley. I think I would like to have a cup of coffee with him and have a long conversation with him, if he's feeling.
Let's see. Vishen, Jay, if you're listening to this, Yuva is here. Please get in touch for that conversation.
And then, bro, for someone who's already deceased, and I feel really gutted to having missed to see him, because being a teacher, you always long to be someone like Abdul Kalam sir, the late Abdul Kalam, which is the late president of India. He basically he is a true emblem of simplicity and the true sacrifice for the country. And also, he's basically an educator. He basically educate to his very last breath. In fact, before he passed away just after completing a speech in a school somewhere in India. And yeah, I find that really, and I feel
Wow.
really gutted to
Mm.
miss the chance to meet him in person. So yeah, if I could turn back time, I would like to meet APJ Abdul Kalam sir.
Wow, amazing. Amazing list there. Thank you for sharing that. Number 4, what advice would you give to the younger Yuva?
If I could, turn back time like the song by Che, if I could turn back time, right? uh, okay, if I could turn back time, I will say, firstly, whatever happened now, good or bad, this thing should this thing should pass.
Wow.
There's anything is not permanent. Time time changes. Change is the only constant thing. Everything that everything which is alive changes. The only thing which doesn't change is if you are being 6 foot under,
Mm,
right? If you think about it. So everything changes. There's no anything which is permanent. So everything shall pass away. So just stay strong. Yes. Yes, what you're going through is tough, but have faith in yourself. Love yourself. This should pass.
excellent advice. We talk about resilience. We talk about empowerment. All these things that we talked about in this conversation is essentially your advice to younger self. Awesome. So number 5, the last one. What can we
Yeah.
expect from Yuva in the next 5 years?
Wow. 5 years. Well, as of now, the short term means I'm trying to learn more about NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and also I want to learn more about Ho'oponopono because, I have a very bad past, like going after breakup, and I was depression. So citing Ho'oponopono makes me feel relieved and it's kind of like take me out of depression. So I want others to benefit from it, so I want to find a way how can I inculcate Ho'oponopono in and also NLP in my coaching. And also within the next 5 years, I'm hoping to have my own coaching business up and running, not just to serve um, Asia, but also anywhere in the world who have been subjected to discrimination, because I believe this topic of discrimination is a global thing. It's not just stuck to a certain country or certain region. So I believe in that way I can serve the world, because I just want to quote a famous quote by the late Muhammad Ali. He says, "Service is the rent that you pay for your time on earth."
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. It puts things into real perspective there
Yeah. Yes.
of our time here on earth and the I guess purpose. Yuva, thank you so much. That's been an absolute gem of a conversation. I want to thank you, Yuva, again. If you're listening to this, do contact Yuva. Follow him on Instagram, on all the social media handles. We've run out of time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are tuning in. I just want to say a massive thanks. Get in touch with us. Let us know what you think about this podcast. If it has resonated with you, leave a review. And Yuva, any last advice or words to the audience?
My parting words to the audience will be, like anything which happened, this will pass away. Just love yourself. You know yourself better, so do not let others dictate how you feel. You should feel how you truly feel within you.
Powerful. Thank you, Yuva. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Until the next episode, peace and love from me always, and from Yuva.
Peace and love and care. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in from wherever you are. My sincere hope is that this episode has not only resonated with you, but also given you some invaluable tips and strategies to improve your life. Don't forget to share your comments with me. As you know, I love to hear your views. Also, remember to follow the Academy, follow me, my guests, and tag us on our social media handles, which will be provided in the description. Most importantly, please leave a review and let me know that you've heard this podcast and how it has impacted you. Until the next episode, stay safe, stay healthy, and peace and love from me always.